Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate if you jump on here live here on this Thursday evening. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. One of my twins woke up, which is something that hardly ever happens. Hey there, Jeff. Glad to have you here on this Thursday. Anybody else jumps on here live, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up if you have not subscribed. Please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. And Jeff, I do not remember you. Either my memory's getting bad or you have changed your name in the chat section, because Jeff does not sound familiar, and I apologize for that. But thank you so much for returning to the channel. Hopefully you have liked and subscribed and given the video a thumbs up and shared the video on all social media platforms. You did change your name, and that explains why I don't recall seeing your name, because generally I usually remember either the picture or the name, and in your case I recall neither one. I guess that explains why. But tomorrow night I'm back to one of my other part-time jobs covering local high school football, so there may not be a video tomorrow night. So I wanted to make sure I came on here tonight and went ahead and did another 2025 early college football season preview. I know I said last week that I was going to try to do 8 or 9 more before the season starts, and this is my third one this week. Tonight we're going to talk about Miami, and the reason why is a lot of people have them as a playoff team, and you know, I look at their schedule. Hey there, WWE gang. Glad to have you here. And I could see them going 12-0, but at the same time, I know Miami's history, and I know Mario Cristobal's history, and more than likely they're going to lose at least one game along the way. They have no business losing. And you know, they were a really good team last year. For a long time they were undefeated, and you know, a lot of their games last year came down to the wire, and they were, you know, lucky to be on the winning side. But I'm not sure they're any better this year than they were last year. But Shannon Dawson is their third year offensive coordinator, and Corey Heatherman takes over as their defensive coordinator. They fired last year's DC after last year's disappointing defensive season. Hey there, Little 94. Glad to have you here. Mark Fletcher Jr. is still their primary running back, and I think we all know who their quarterback is. If you don't know that, then you know nothing about college football. Last year he enjoyed throwing the ball to the other team, so we'll see what happens with that this year. But Miami is always going to have a good offensive line as long as Cristobal is their coach, so I'm not worried about their lines of scrimmage on either side. But, they open up on August 31st against Notre Dame, and then they play Bethune-Cookman on September the 6th, South Florida on September 13th, and then they play Florida on September 20th. So they open up the season with all four of their non-conference games, and then the rest of the season is conference games. Bethune-Cookman shouldn't be an issue. South Florida shouldn't be an issue. I think the Florida game will be competitive. I think Florida will hang with them, but I think Miami wins that game. The Notre Dame game, I'm giving them the win in that game only because Notre Dame has not a whole new roster, but close to it. Hey there, Fatima. Glad to have you here. And since it's the first game of the season and the Irish have almost a completely new roster, I'm going to give the Hurricanes the edge in that game as well. Hey there, Blue Dorito. Hey there, Riker. Glad to have y'all here. Now, if Notre Dame played Miami Halloween, I'd probably pick Notre Dame. But since they've just gone through so many changes on both sides of the ball, it's first game of the season, I'll give the Hurricanes the edge, a slight edge. I've got them winning all four of their non-conference games. And then they have a weird stretch where after they play Florida on September 20th and wrap up the non-conference season, they have a bye week. Then they come back and play Florida State, and then they have another bye week. So they have 2 off weeks in a 3-game stretch. They're off the final week of September, then Florida State the first Saturday in October, and then they're off on the second Saturday in October. So they play 1 game in 3 weeks. I'm not too worried about that game because I don't expect Florida State to be very good. I've already did my Florida State early season preview. I have them going 6-6. But after the second bye week is when I start getting concerned because they play Louisville on October 17th. That's on a Friday. So Louisville has 2 Friday games this year because they also play Clemson on a Friday. But if my record is correct right now, I've got them beating Notre Dame, Bethune-Cookman, South Florida, Florida, and Florida State. So they'll be 5-0 when they play Louisville, coming off a bye week, Friday night game. I think Louisville beats them, not only because Miami will start to get the big head being 5-0, but, Brom is a phenomenal coach doing good things at Louisville, and about every year he pulls off a win somewhere that he has no business getting. And Brom is just like Mike Leach. He can take average quarterbacks and make them look great. Look how many schools Tyler Shuck played for and didn't do diddly squat. Went to Louisville last year and had a fantastic season and went from a quarterback that had no chance of being drafted to being drafted and maybe the Saints' starting quarterback. I expect the same thing this year with Miller Moss. Miller Moss can't throw a ball 20 yards and probably couldn't start for any other team in the country except Louisville, and he'll end up having a phenomenal season. I think Louisville beats them. Then they come back with Stanford. Stanford is awful. And then they open up the month of November on the 1st against SMU. And they wrap up the season with Syracuse on the 8th of November, NC State on the 15th of November, Virginia Tech on the 22nd of November, and Pittsburgh wrapping up the season on the 29th of November. Hey there, Kevin. I was wondering where you were. Usually you're the first person in the comment section, but glad you're here. Nevertheless, and I think they also lose to SMU. I don't know if SMU is going to be quite as good as last year, but I think they're going to be pretty good again. I'm doing fantastic, Okie Light. Thank you for asking. Every day is a good day. Glad to have you back, Okie. Haven't seen your name in the comment section in about a week or so, maybe a little longer than a week. So glad to have you back. But I could see Miami going 12-0. but I could also see them going to 7-5 and losing to Notre Dame, Florida, Louisville, SMU, and Pittsburgh. But I don't think they lose all those games. But I just know their track record. I know Cristobal's track record. They're going to trip up and lose somewhere. And as I always say, the games they lose really don't matter as long as my overall record is on par. You're not going to do, 20 or 25 season previews and get the win loss in every single game correct. As long as you say 7-5 and a team goes 7-5, it doesn't matter who they beat, who they lose to. The fact is they're still 7-5. If Miami beats Louisville and beats SMU but loses to Florida and Pittsburgh, then my record is still correct. They're 10-2. I've got them going 6-2 in the ACC, 10-2 overall, with losses to Louisville and SMU. And it's a good thing for Miami they don't play Georgia Tech, because I expect Georgia Tech to be a lot better this year. For whatever reason, Miami struggles with Georgia Tech, so I think that could save them probably a half a loss, because if they play Georgia Tech and that game is on the schedule, I'd kind of be scratching my head saying, I don't know about that game. But they've been saved by not having to play them. But again, I've got them going 10-2. Not a bad record at all. Any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. It's just, I'm not convinced they're better than they were last year. And if they couldn't go 12-0 last year, why do I expect them to go 12-0 or 11-1 this year? Oh, you've been on vacation. That's where you've been, Okie. Well, glad you made it back home safe and sound, and you're a better band than me for going to Florida. I went to Florida one time. I guess I was, I don't know, 21, 22, maybe, Okie, and I went, and I didn't go all the way down to Daytona and, Tampa and Pensacola and Clearwater. I went down to Tallahassee, and it felt like as soon as I crossed the state line from Georgia into Florida, the temperature rose 15 degrees, and I said, nope, not for me. And this was probably May, maybe, so I can't imagine what it'd be like going there this time of the year. Not for me. Hey there, Jose. Glad to have you here. And hey there, Nathan. Glad to have you here, Nathan. I'm a busy man. I do one of my jobs that help me make a living tomorrow night covering high school football, which I thoroughly enjoy, but thank you for asking, Nathan. I work part-time for a radio station covering high school football and high school basketball, and we have a scrimmage game tomorrow night before the first game of the season next week. So Jose, Nathan, I think it's the first time I've seen y'all's name in the comment section. If it's y'all's first time here, feel free to give the video a like and a thumbs up, and if you have not subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. And again, Nathan, speaking of football, I have the Miami Hurricanes going 6-2 in the ACC, 10-2 overall this year, and I believe this is the 16th or 17th early season preview I've done. I'd have to go back and look at all the teams I've wrote down. I think it's 16 or 17. I'm trying to get to 20. I don't know if we'll get to 25 or not, but I'm trying to get to 20 before the season starts. So I've got a little over 2 weeks, since we have week 0 in 2 weeks, to do at least 3 or 4 more, and then maybe I'll do a couple beyond that, but I'm trying to at least get to 20 early season previews. I did one NFL, and the rest of them were all college football. Nathan, I'm a huge wrestling fan myself. Matter of fact, last month I celebrated 18 years as a professional independent wrestling referee. I've got a show this upcoming Saturday night, so I stay busy. That's something else I do. Nathan, not only do I cover high school football and high school basketball for a radio station, I also do professional wrestling refereeing on the side, and I enjoy every minute of that. So, Nathan, next time we talk wrestling, hopefully you'll be on here and talk some wrestling with us. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. If prisons let prisoners take their own mug shots, we'd call them selfies. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of three. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.